Today we are going to instruct the skills and movements necessary to perform a successful standard jump shot with pressure from a defender. We are focusing on novice basketball players. The goal for the performer is to acquire the skills and movements necessary to successfully execute a standard jump shot when opposing a defender. The standard form for a jump shot starts with the performer's feet being shoulder-width apart and the dominant foot in front. When the performer crouches in order to prepare for the jump, the dominant hand should be under the ball with the fingers spread apart to get as much control as possible. The non-dominant hand, on the other hand, should be on the side of the ball since it is used for stability. When the performer is about to shoot, the dominant elbow should be lined up with the dominant wrist. The wrist and upper arm will form an L shape. As a performer jumps up from the ground, the performer will push the ball with their dominant hand towards the hoop and release the ball, turning your wrist downward. According to Gentile's taxonomy, our motor skill is classified as 4B. Our motor skill has regulatory conditions in motion and has inter-trial variability due to the defender moving in unpredictable ways, thereby affecting the performer directly. Therefore, the performer must predict and make decisions on when to execute the jump shot based on the movements of the defender. The object manipulation comes from the basketball itself. Finally, even though there is movement involved with jumping up and down in a jump shot, it is characterized as body stability since the goal of the performer is not to move from one location to the next, such as in body transport. Critical factors are movements that have to occur in order to successfully execute the action. In a standard jump shot, the critical factors are the flick of the wrist, tucking the elbow in so the wrist and upper arm form an L shape, bending the knee in order to power the jump, angle of projection, and foot positioning with feet shoulder-width apart or narrower. It is important for shooting speed and balance. Flexible factors are movements that can vary across individuals performing the same action. Flexible factors include jump height, knee flexion angle, distance from the hoop, speed or the time it takes to execute the movement, and body movements in the air. No matter how large or small the knee flexion angle is, does not affect the ability to perform the jump shot. Also, whether the performer is 5 feet or 10 feet away from the hoop does not change the ability of the performer to complete the jump shot. Even though they are at varying distances, the performer will just bend their knees to a greater or lesser extent. According to Gentile's taxonomy, our simpler movement would be categorized as 1A, since it includes stationary regulatory conditions, body stability, no inter-trial variability, and no object manipulation. In order to simplify the motor task, we had the performer practice the motion of flicking the wrist and aiming for the hoop without jumping or a basketball. To make the movement more difficult, we had the performer execute the whole jump shot with the flick of the wrist, jump, and aiming without an object. To make the movement more complex, our performer was asked to take large steps toward the free throw line, then shoot, rather than shooting from the same position. According to Gentile's taxonomy, it would be classified as 1C because there is no inter-trial variability, stationary regulatory conditions, no object manipulation, but we have body transport. According to Gentile's taxonomy, our second simpler movement would fall under 1B, in which there is body stability, object manipulation, stationary regulatory conditions, and no inter-trial variability. In this case, the performer would execute the jump shot with a basketball. In order to make it more difficult, the performer was instructed to perform the jump shot from varying distances such as from 5 feet away and 10 feet away. In order to make the movement more complex, a defender opposed our performer and forced the performer to make predictions and move according to the defender.
Let's go.